Maayong araw, grade 9 students. I am Teacher Jordan and today I will discuss ratio and proportion. In this lesson, you are expected to define and illustrate ratio and proportion and solve for the unknown in a proportion.
Let's have first a pretest. Read each of the following questions carefully and identify what is being asked. Write only the letter of the correct answer on your paper. Number 1. In a classroom with 47 students, 28 of them are female. What is the ratio of male to female? Number 2. What do you call the equality of two ratios? Question number 3. What is the value of m in the proportion 3:m is equal to 7:42? Question number 4. In the proportion the quantity x plus 2:5 equals 9:15, what is x? Question number 5. What is y in the proportion 10 over the quantity y plus 2 equals 6 over the quantity y minus 4? The correct answers for the pretest are as follows. Let's have a recap. Which of the following below you believe is equivalent to 3/4? And the answers are the shaded area of the circle, 75%, the ratio, 300:400, the fractions, 75 over 100, and 15 over 20.
Have you seen the map of your barangay? Have you seen a blueprint done by an architect? No matter how large the land area of your locality, it is always possible to view all the main streets and main landmarks in a piece of paper. And from a piece of paper, a very beautiful house can be constructed into reality. These two are only few of the real-life applications of the mathematics concept called similarity. In geometry, two objects are said to be similar if they have the same shape, even if they are in different sizes. Observe this illustration of two similar balls. A similar object can be obtained by uniformly stretching or reducing the same amount in all directions. In this world of similarity, it is very important for us to study and understand the concept of ratio and proportion. What is ratio? What is proportion?
A ratio is a way to compare two or more quantities. It says how much of one thing there is compared to another thing. A ratio can be written in different ways, as a fraction, using the word 2, or using a colon. The order of the ratio is very important such that quantities should be written in the order they are being listed. Moreover, the ratio may also be reduced to lowest terms. Example, out of 35 survivors of the COVID-19 in a certain barangay in Pasig City, 20 of them are males. What is the ratio of male survivors to female survivors? Since 20 of the 35 survivors are males, then the number of female survivors should be 15. Thus, the ratio of male survivors to female survivors is 20:15, or it can be reduced to lowest terms as 4/3. The ratio of female survivors to total survivors is 15:35 or 3:7. The ratio of total survivors to male survivors is 35:20 or 7:4 in lowest term. Now let's have proportion. A proportion is the equality of two ratios. It is an equation in which there are ratios on both sides and can be written in two ways, as two equal fractions or use of colons. These illustrations of proportion can be read as A is to B as C is to D, or A is to B is equal to C is to D.
In a proportion which is written in colons, the outer terms are called extremes and the inner terms are called means. In this proportion, A is to B is equal to C is to D, A and D are the extremes and B and C are the means.
Now let's talk about the fundamental rule of proportion. The fundamental rule of proportion states that if A is to B is equal to C is to D, then the product of A and D is equal to the product of B and C, provided that B is not equal to 0 and D is not equal to 0. This is the cross multiplication property for proportions. In the proportion A is to B is equal to C is to D, we multiply A and D, and this is equal to the product of B and C. The other properties of proportion are alternation property, inverse property, addition property, and subtraction property. These properties show several ways of rewriting proportions that do not alter the meaning of their values. Let us solve for an unknown in a proportion. Solve for x in x is to 5 is equal to 12 is to 15. I will illustrate two ways of solving this proportion. The first solution is using the notation equality of two fractions. Applying cross multiplication property, we have 15x equals 5 times 12. This is simplified to 15x equals 60. And applying multiplication property of equality, the value of x is 4. The other solution is using the notation with colons. In this notation, the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. We need to get the product of the extremes 15 and x and the product of the means 5 and 12. Equating these products, we have 15x equals 60, which can also be simplified to get the value of x. In this equation, the value of x is equal to 4, which is also the same as the first solution. Another example, solve for x in x over 3 is to 7 is equal to 27 is to 21. Using the cross multiplication property, we have 21 multiplied to the quantity x minus 3 equals the product of 7 and 27. Applying appropriate properties of equality, the value of x is 12. On the other hand, with the product of extremes equal to the product of means, we can obtain the same answer of x, which is equal to 12. Example number 3. Solve for x in the proportion the quantity of x minus 5 is to the quantity of x plus 3 equals 2 is to 6. In this proportion, the extremes are the quantity of x minus 5 and 6, while the means are the quantity of x plus 3 and 2. Equating the product of extremes and product of means, we have the quantity of x minus 5 multiplied to 6 equals the quantity of x plus 3 multiplied to 2. Applying appropriate properties of equality, the value of x is 9. Example number 4. Solve for x in the quantity of x minus 1 over 3 equals 7 over the quantity x plus 3. Applying the fundamental rule of proportion, we have the quantity of x minus 1 multiplied to the quantity x plus 3 that is equal to the product of 3 and 7. Simplifying this equation, we can obtain a quadratic equation x squared plus 2x minus 24 equals 0. Solving for x using factoring method, the values of x are negative 6 and 4. Let's wrap up today's lesson. Ratio is a way to compare two or more quantities. The ratio of A to B can be written in three different ways: as a fraction, using the word 2, or using colon. On the other hand, a proportion is the equality of two ratios. It is an equation in which there are two ratios on both sides and can be written in two ways: as two equal fractions or use of colons. In the proportion A is to B is equal to C is to D, the outer terms A and D are called extremes, while the inner terms B and C are called means. The cross product property on proportions, along with other properties of equality, is very helpful in solving for the unknown in a proportion. Let's have the valuing part of today's lesson. Proportion is the equality of two ratios. It is an equation in which there are ratios on both sides. It can be compared to a balanced scale such that the weight on one side should be equal to the weight on the other side. In real life, how can you balance your playtime and study time? Write an essay on how you balance your playtime and study time, especially that you are studying at home in this time of pandemic. Let's have the post test. Read each of the following problems carefully and identify what is being asked. Write only the letter of the correct answer on your paper. The answers for the post-test are as follows. For you to further understand today's lesson, do the following activities. And the answers for the activities are as follows.